So what we're looking at today is technology from a company called Tucana. There are actually two major technologies from Tucana, and one is T-Flow Production, which is a production automation system. The other is T-Flow Approval, and Approval is a web-based approval system, as the name suggests. We're starting this webinar series with a webinar about approval, the approval solution. We have not done yet a webinar about T-Flow Production, but that will be planned in the next couple of weeks as well. And you'll get an invitation to that if you want us to keep you notified of that. Just drop us a line afterwards and we'll be happy to do that. While both of these technologies can work together, you'll see during this demonstration that T-Flow Approval can actually perfectly well function by itself as a standalone, if you want, approval system. Now, I have a web browser open, and that is because T-Flow Approval as an approval system works completely web-based. So basically, from a technical point of view, there is an approval server, which is actually a web server that has to be installed on a server somewhere, and then all of the setup, configuration, but also the usage of the approval system happens through a web interface. There are a number of other ways in which I can automate the workflow around the approval process so that people don't have to log into the or don't have to use the web interface, and things can happen in an automated way. And we'll talk about that as well, but we'll start by looking at the web interface for approval. So I have an email address, I have a password, and with that I can log into the approval system, and you can see that it looks quite user-friendly. I have a number of different ways to look at the jobs that I currently have in the system, and an indication in some cases that this is something that I need to look at. Of course, what information I see is determined by what rights, what permissions I have within the system. There are a number of important concepts within this approval system. On the one hand, I have the user management, and that comprises of a system where I can create companies for my different clients and can create people within those companies and give those people permissions. And if I switch to the user management console, then you can see that I have created, in fact, a number of different client companies in here for various demonstration purposes. In these companies, I can define different work groups, and each of these work groups has people in them and has certain permissions. The permission system is quite fine-grained, which means that I can have people who are allowed to create orders and jobs. I'll tell you more about that in a second. I can have people who are responsible of managing the solution. I could have people that are not capable of creating new jobs or orders, but are allowed to give comments. I can have other people that are allowed to approve. So you can really define the roles of individual people within your organization or the types of people that you have within your organization to a very fine-grained level. Let me go back to the order side for a second. So orders, like I said, on the one hand, you have companies, work groups, people within those work groups. On the other hand, you have, of course, the tracking of or the management of the different pieces of artwork that are in the system. And those are tracked using a hierarchical system of orders, jobs, and then artwork that is uploaded into those jobs. At the highest level, I can create an order. One of those orders can contain one or two different different jobs, and each job actually has a piece of artwork that is uploaded in it, that is supplied. So I could have an order that is created after a conversation with a client. That order could comprise of a banner, for example, and a brochure. Well, the banner would be a job within that order. The brochure would be a second job within that order, and both can then be managed through the approval system. Let's actually go through the motions of creating one of these orders and then a job within it. And that will make it very clear how that can function. I'll actually create a job for a client called 4Ps. I have to give that a name. We'll call that webinar order. You can give each order that you enter a description, a starting date. Let's start that tomorrow and end it on next week, Wednesday. And then, and very important within the whole workflow, I get to define who will be responsible for providing the artwork. And I'm going to choose one person at 4Ps that is responsible for the artwork in this case. And next to that, I get to define who is going to be responsible for approving it. And in this case, I will list myself as the approver for this particular order. And then what you can see on the right-hand side, I'm not going to talk too much about, but that is actually the link to the other system I talked about. This allows you to connect this approval system directly to a T-Flow production system. And that would mean that whatever job is, whatever file is approved through T-Flow approval could flow automatically within, for example, the CMYK plus Spot flow that is defined in T-Flow production. So you can link those two systems together. Of course, you don't have to. You can use approval just by itself to take care of the approval part of your workflow and then link it to whatever automation or workflow system you already have in your company. But if you want to link them, the two solutions can be linked seamlessly together. Let me save this. We just created an order. I called that webinar order. You can see the little green new badge at the in the corner of that as well. If I click on that order, it gives me a user interface where I can now create a job within that order, and that basically follows the same guidelines as that for the order itself. All of the information that I entered for the order is automatically taken over by the job that I'm now creating. But if I want to, I can still adjust this to something else. So I could add another person to upload artwork. I could add someone else to approve a job for this particular job in this order. If all of the jobs in the order are the same, I simply don't touch anything and I give the order a name. This could be the cover, or let's say that we want to order a banner here. And I'm going to leave everything else the way it is and simply create a new job within there. And like I said, I could now do exactly the same for a brochure, for example, and that becomes a new job in this order that I created. Now, notice that in these two cases, if I click these jobs, nothing happens. That is because the order was configured in such a way that the only person that is able to supply artwork to this particular order is Cedric. If I add myself to the list of people that can upload artwork, I actually get a waiting for artwork badge. Now, I changed the permissions in such a way that I have the permission to upload artwork, and that means that the system now tells me that this particular job is waiting and that I could actually click on that and select files that will be supplied to the system for that particular job. So I can select a PDF file here, and let me just go ahead and see if I can do that. Select a PDF and upload that to the TFlow approval system. Again, I'm still doing everything in the manual way. There are ways to do this a little bit more automatically, and I'll come to those in a second. Right now, we're simply looking at what we can do within the web interface. I've uploaded that. You actually get a preview of how that document looks like. The preview is generated with PDF Toolbox in the background. TFlow approval incorporates the Calas PDF Toolbox technology in the backend to do a number of things. Previews are one of those tasks. Actually, if you look at the top right corner, it says status pre-flighting. The pre-flighting part is also delivered by PDF Toolbox. So this PDF Toolbox solution in the background takes care of a number of different things for me. If I go back for a second to the order, you'll see that you have now a small preview of the file there as well. And if I go back to the job itself, to this job itself, I now got different buttons at the top right corner. The pre-flighting was done meanwhile, and if I go to information, I can see exactly what is going on with this job, and I even have, and this is not very user-friendly in this way to look at, but I even have all of the processing information that came out of PDF Toolbox for this particular job. What I can do now is say, well, this I like, but I'm not sure this font is actually the right font. So I can then add a little annotation on here and say, I'm not sure about this font. I can save that on the file. Mark whatever I want to mark on the file here. So in this case, we're interested in highlighting the font at the top, and that will be saved in the approval system. Of course, anyone else who has rights to view this job is now also capable of seeing what my comment is. All of the comments will end up here in the list I have. I can either add comments or I can reply to an existing comment. And then once I'm done and I have done everything that is required, I have two choices. Actually, three choices if you look at the bottom, at the buttons here that you have. I can simply approve the job, which means it's okay, and it will move to the exit of the approval workflow, potentially be picked up by TFlow production in the back. I can say cancel, which cancels this job altogether, or I can say new revision, which means as much as this is not good enough, I want you to do the changes, for example, that I've specified in the comments, and I want you to supply new artwork for this instead. When I go ahead and ask for a new revision, you can see that the status here changes to upload revision. If I supply a new revision, it will automatically be added to this job, and I will be able to go back and forth between the different revisions for this job. And if I go back to the order, you can see that there as well, it informs me of the fact that it's waiting for a revision. Now, these things, of course, are not static. I can create orders and jobs, but I could very easily go in and alter this information afterwards if I have the right permission to to do so, meaning, for example, if there is an order created but the approver is not in the office and we need to go through with this, you either have the option to add an approver to an existing order or job, and in that way be able to have it taken care of by someone who is in the office, or I could simply go in and edit the order or job information and change the approver altogether. Those capabilities, of course, are there. The only thing is you need to have the right permissions to be able to do so. We see if I can answer any of the other questions that came up in the meantime. Is it possible to define the pre-flight option when uploading a file? Yes, you can specify what profile is used to do this pre-flight, and using the, if I open this up again, using this workflow system that you have here, you can define multiple pre-flight profiles and then choose which of these workflows, meaning pre-flight options, will be used for what order or what job. So in essence, I could create different types of orders or expect different types of orders from clients and define different pre-flight profiles to be used for pre-flighting these different types of orders that come into the system. So we've created an order, we've created a job, we've seen how you can comment on that and how you can approve that or ask for new revisions. Now the question is, of course, it's nice to be able to do all of this in a manual fashion using the web interface. Now, how does this fit into a workflow, and what are the options around this that can make the life easier, both for the CSRs handling jobs and for the designers working with the system and providing artwork? And there are a couple of things that we can do here. Let me start with the administration part. In many cases, it will be okay to create orders manually, but in many companies, there is already an order tracking system in place. There is already an MIS system in place, and you would basically you would want this MIS system to be in charge. And if an order is created in the MIS system, you would really like to see an order and a job created automatically with all the right parameters here in TFlow approval. Well, that can be done in a quite easy fashion. TFlow approval, when it's installed on a web server, has the possibility to have a hot folder defined, and in that hot folder, it is possible to drop a number of XML files. And in such an XML file, if I open one of these up, in an XML file, you have a very simple XML format, and in that XML format, you can define, and you see a subset of the possibilities here, but you can define all of the information that you need to create an order and a job. That means if that XML file that I have here is dropped into a hot folder on the web server, that automatically the order will be created. It will be populated with all of the properties that are specified in the XML. The job will be created, and so on. So that integration between an MIS or an ordering system and TFlow approval can be made quite easily in a quite straightforward way. Secondly, is it necessary for people to log into the system and check what they have to do and what work is waiting for them? No, also that is taken care of. Actually, you can define what happens whenever something changes in the system, and people can be notified through email while that is taking place. So if I go to the administration section here, and what I'll do is I'll go to the user lists, for example, and look at my own setup. A user has a name, of course. There are initials to make it easier to enter them in forms, email address, company, and so on. An important field here is whether the system, when the system will send you email about the things, the tasks that are waiting for you. And if I set this to real time, which in many cases is going to be what you want, and I simply save that, then each time a job is waiting for me, and that might be because I am responsible for supplying artwork and a new job was created with my name on it, or it might be because I am responsible for approving a job that was just supplied, then I'll receive an email. That email will have a link to TFlow approval and will take me directly to the system and to the job that is waiting for me. So both for the artwork creation and for the approval of artwork, it is possible to have notifications sent out to the people responsible. Now that brings us to artwork submission. I've done that for a job in the web interface, but that is only one option that you have. I'm going to hide my browser for a second, and instead I'm going to go to InDesign. In InDesign, you have a new palette. There is a plugin that you can install in InDesign, and it gives you a new window actually here. And what I'll do is I'll just open an InDesign file. This is a demo file, and I opened this because this demo file has some information at the bottom that I want to show you. So let me close up the other panels and take this. This panel has 3 different tabs that allow you to work with TFlow approval. The first one, the settings panel, is something that you'll use once. That has the link to the approval system you want to work with. It has your username and your password, and it allows you to automatically log in to the system. So at this point, the plugin has made a connection to TFlow approval, and it is now able to submit information to TFlow approval, and in some cases, and you'll see that in the slug line for the InDesign document, in some cases to also get information out of the approval system. The second tab is this job tab, and this works together with the slug line information that I added to the InDesign template. And that allows me to say this is a job for 4-piece, for example. I have an order ID, and that was a webinar order. It has a job ID. What I'm making here is this webinar banner. I can enter all of this information, the artist, the approver, and this could of course be done for each job individually, but I can also simply create a template that is then added to that I can then reuse and simply give to people creating artwork in a specific workflow. They simply open it up. They can enter what job and order they're working on, and then the plugin will automatically make that connection to TFlow approval. You can see that it says upload revision up here. If you remember correctly, this banner job is the one that we just used to ask for a new revision. So this is the actual status. Upload revision is the actual status that this job has in the approval system. And now, as a designer, I can easily see that this is what I need to do. At this point, I need to supply new artwork. And then the question is, how do I do that? And that too can be made more easy with the plugin. I have the Submit tab on the InDesign plugin window. And the Submit tab, first of all, allows me to preview the PDF that will be submitted to TFlow approval. What I do for that is select whatever presets I have on my system that I want to use for this file. Click Preview, and that will open up the PDF file in my default PDF viewer on my system, which is Preview in my case. And I can look at that, see whether the file is good. And if it is good, in the plugin again, I can click Submit. And Submit will then take the PDF that was just created and that I previewed, and it will upload that PDF into the TFlow approval system. So the connection between the plugin and TFlow approval here allows me to skip having to log in to the web interface of TFlow approval, but simply use the plugin part for that. So I've done that. It has received my file. You can see that it changes here to uploaded successfully, and right now it went through pre-flight and it went into awaiting approval. So it actually went to the next stage in the workflow, and the plugin informs me of the fact that that is the case. Again, because I am registered as an approver for this this job, the system will send me an email with a link in it, and that link will then take me to the web interface and allow me to go in and do the approval, go through the approval process. So if I log back into this and I say I want to look at this job, you can see that this is in fact the demo file that I had just opened in InDesign, where I'm now asked to either approve, cancel, or again ask for a new revision. So that's basically the functionality of TFlow approval. Let me try to summarize what we've talked about a little bit. What you're looking at is a web-based approval system. In this approval system, I have the ability to create companies, users, and give those users exactly the permissions they have, whether it is only approving jobs, managing the full system, only supplying artwork, perhaps also being able to enter comments or edit comments from someone else, exactly what you need in terms of roles in your workflow. Secondly, this approval system allows me to create orders, and in those orders allows me to create different jobs, where each of these jobs has a file, artwork, that is delivered by someone into the approval system. If PDF files or other files supported by PDF Toolbox are supplied, then I can actually open those, get a preview, look at the comments that are available, or create my own comments in this file, reply to existing comments. I can see what the result of the pre-flight was, again, as a way to help me decide whether this document is good or not good. The system allows you to discard a certain revision and ask for a new revision. It keeps track of all of these different revisions so that you can see what was changed. I didn't mention that, but there are also buttons here to look at the pre-flighted PDF, to look at the report that was generated by PDF Toolbox, and the original PDF file that went into the system. So you can look at all of the details of a job before you take your decision whether this job is good or not good. Not only does it allow you to work with all of this information in a web interface online, but next to that, it allows you quite easily to create a link to an existing order system or MIS system. On the other end of the spectrum, it allows you to set up a link with TFlow Production as an automation system, or another automation or workflow system that you have. And for artwork providers, for artists that work with InDesign, there is even a plugin in InDesign where I can connect to TFlow approval and either supply artwork to an existing job or even create a new job from within the InDesign environment if, of course, I have the permissions to do so in this approval system. But the plugin helps you to correctly create a PDF file, preview that, and then submit that PDF file into the approval system. And it will also automatically show you what the status is of those files you have submitted into the approval system.